What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Game Winning Drive. And we don't have the video. We're having issues actually with the video. Guys, real quick, how was your weekend, man? Brant, how's your weekend going, bro?
It was good. I enjoyed watching some football. Got to spend some time with the family. A little sad we lost, but we played a good game, so I'll take it.
Good deal, man. I appreciate. Yeah, I definitely hear you on that part. We'll dive into that a little bit later. Alex, how was your weekend, man? I know you're happy.
I mean, weekend was great. Monday was a different story, but the weekend was outstanding. I just, like I always say, I'm nervous with Baker at the helm. So I thought 28 points was enough, and it was just barely by 11. So we held on, got the win, going to the next round. Let's shock the world and beat Kansas City.
Yeah, man. You really did shock the world, dude. It was. I kept thinking about you the whole game. I really thought the Steelers, just that type of game because you're up by so much that they could ease up on the gas, and Steelers were making a comeback, but thank God for Nick Chubb. More on that later, obviously. Guys, check it out on the bottom. As always, every week we are partnered up with Manscaped. I am not rocking the shirt tonight, but my co-host is, in Alex. Your balls will thank you with Manscaped. 20% off, free shipping, order anything that you want to buy. Game Winning Drive, GWD 2020 is the promo code that you would need to use to get that 20% off, obviously. Crazy time right now on the buzz. So much is going on with interviews and this and that. We thank you guys so much. But check out this clip just to get a little bit more info. We don't have the clip. All right, I'm sorry. I'm being told we don't have the clip. We're going to move on. Okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about it, guys. First down, hot topics. We're going to go and we're going to talk about the coaching carousel, what's going on around the NFL. I know Brant's got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about, did the Eagles make the right decision? What's going on with Robert Saleh? Where is he going to land? Eric Bieniemy, should he take the interview with Houston after Houston already came out and said, no, we don't want him? Urban Meyer seems to be the hot commodity around the NFL. We'll talk about that and dive in a little bit with that. We're going to go over the divisional round. The wild card round. Talk about the games, and then we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the divisional round and what we expect heading into this weekend. First and foremost, let's get into it. Brant, and I obviously I got to represent the Browns. Got the colors on for Alex just in case they win this week, which is, by Zeus's beard, they have no shot at being KC, but it could happen. It could happen. We'll talk about it. Let's get into it, guys. Bombshell, kind of a bombshell dropped. Did the Eagles make the right choice on firing former head coach now, Doug Peterson? Brant, you're the guest. I want to start with you. Was it the right move, or was this a move to get the fire away from the owner?
I think Howie Roseman should have been the one to go before Peterson. How are you going to take a coach who just won you a Super Bowl title 3 years ago and be like, you're out? I definitely think it goes to show how the fans in Philadelphia want to be and how that organization expects you to be when you're a coach there. Like you've got to win every year. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, they're going to let you go no matter what you've done for them in the past.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you, and I definitely agree. On the standpoint of Howie Roseman should have been fired first. Terrible drafting. We'll just go off of last year alone. Drafting Jalen Hurts in the second round after you give a long-term contract extension to Carson Wentz, which, hindsight's 2020. It didn't look good from there, but now it looks like, okay, that might have been the right choice. But we'll dive in further into that. Also, let's talk about the fact that he passed on Justin Jefferson for Jalen Reagor. There's so many things that we could dive into. Signing Carson Wentz to a long-term contract. There's so many things I could pinpoint on Howie's tenure since 2017 when they won the Super Bowl. 18 and 19 has not been, and 20 has not been good for Philly, right, Alex?
Yeah, listen, they both needed to go. A regime change needed to be made. And the fact that they made Doug the scapegoat and then somehow how he talked his way back in the good graces for another is ridiculous, right? If I'm a head coach going there, I don't want to be under Howie. I've seen how he screwed Peterson. Like Peterson directly got fired due to Howie, right? It wasn't just Peter. I mean, listen, Peterson helped himself quite a bit by being stale with his offense, by ticking off his quarterback, who when they gave the deal, it was a good deal. But now it looks like a terrible deal because they drafted a quarterback, which pissed him off, which I don't blame him, right? He went the opposite way, though, of what Aaron Rodgers did, right? Aaron Rodgers said, I'm going to come out and show I'm the bad man who I am. Wentz got all in his feelings, and he fell apart, right? Now, Jalen Hurts, I think, is the future because I don't know how you repair that relationship with Wentz. If I'm Wentz, I demand a trade. I don't want to be in Philly anymore because you're going to have the same regime with Howie's still there in charge. So I think it was a great choice to fire him. I thought he should have been fired. I don't care that he won a Super Bowl in 2017. The NFL is a very much what have you done for me lately, right? If Andy Reid could get fired from there, who was a much better coach, I don't care that he didn't win a Super Bowl there. He's a much better coach than Doug Peterson. Then Doug Peterson can get fired, right? But they did a half measure. They didn't fire Howie as well.
Yeah, for me, man, the way I look at it, I was arguing with a bunch of Eagle fans. They loved it. They were praising it, this and that. But what's there to praise for? Why would any coach want to go under this resume at Howie Roseman at GM? First of all, I don't think that was Doug's call to sit Hurts week 17. I think that's from the upper management. It's obvious, and it's obvious when his answer, according to Ian Rappaport a couple of days ago. I'm sick and tired of being told what I need to do. I want to start doing it my way. To me, that's just a cryptic response of, okay, Howie wanted that. Howie's call was that. We wanted a higher draft pick instead of me losing this locker room, which the Eagles currently, I believe, these players don't want to fight. Why fight for something that your organization has given up on you? But hindsight, like I said, is 2020. I wanted the Chargers to keep losing because I want a higher draft pick. I'm not the GM. I'm not the owner. The GM, you got to fight to get your job. So where does the fire go to? It has to go to Doug, or it's got to go to the GM because the owner wasn't expecting this backlash from the NFL and from critics across the NFL, right? So Brant, help me here. Help me. Where did Doug do the right thing by saying, was this more of a quit, or was this more of just, I got to fire one of you, I'm firing you, Doug? But his response didn't seem like he got fired.
It's hard because Alex made a good point. Like, losing that last game the way that they did, like, that locker room was not great. I mean, Miles Sanders, who's a really good running back, came out and said, I don't understand why we're doing this. Like, you had that team busting their ass for 4 quarters. They should have won that game, realistically. That game was purely for the Eagles to win. The Redskins, or Washington football team, was not playing well that game whatsoever. Both teams were just struggling. And instead of letting his team gut it out to a win, I think he set it up earlier in the week talking about Sudfeld was going to play, saving Hurts. I don't think that came from him. I don't think he was interested in doing that. I don't know any coaches that would. Coaches don't care about losing to get an extra draft pick. You know who does? Owners and GMs. And so I do think it came down from them. They're like, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And then when the backlash happened, as bad as it was, he was the one to go. And you can definitely say he lost the locker room. But if I'm looking at the 7 coaching vacancies right now, that's the worst one by a mile. I don't see any other coaching vacancy right now that's worse than the Eagles.
I agree. Alex, where does Doug go? Where do you go from this for Doug?
Doug goes back as an offensive coordinator. I don't think he gets another head coaching job right away, right? I think he'll be an offensive coordinator on some staff. I heard Alabama's hiring bums and invigorating their careers. They did it with Sarkisian. They're going to do it with I'm blanking right now who they're hiring. Bill O'Brien. They're going to revive his career. I mean, Alabama and Nick Saban are coach rehab, right? Like, I mean, it's come here, have 27 5-star recruits every year, and, we'll win games, of course, because we don't play but 6 people every year, and we'll just go to a championship every year. So now these guys are great coaches again. So, I mean, if he gets somewhere like Ohio State or Alabama or a top college program, he could probably be back in the NFL in a year or go be an offensive coordinator on one of these staffs. I'm sure he has connections. But I don't see him starting off as a head coach again anywhere. I mean, there's some stink on him, right? His offense definitely was a little bland vanilla this last year for sure. So I think that's where he goes. I just am baffled that Howie was not fired as well.
David Jones, he could have been a made man by refusing the quarterback change and blackmailing whoever called the shot. Yeah, he could have. It just looks like a mess. It just looks like a mess. David AJ, guys claim he was playing to win. If he was trying to win, then if he was trying to win, he should be coaching Pee Wee in Peoria. All right. So that's one opinion. All right, guys. I found the video. We're gonna go check out this Manscaped promo real quick. Yes, sir. That's where you can reach Manscaped and get all their products. Like I said, bottom of the ticker. Use that code GameWinning Drive 2020 DWD 2020. Get 20% off. All right, guys, let's get into it. We know what's going up next. What is going on with Robert Saleh, who is the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers? He had a second interview today with the New York Jets at New York. Left the building, apparently, according to Ian Rappaport, and is heading his way to Philadelphia. Brant, where is he going to land? He also has an interview with the Atlanta Falcons and with the Los Angeles Chargers.
I would actually like to see him go to Detroit. I think he'd be a good fill-in and sort of come in afterwards of Matt Patricia. Detroit needs an actual coach, not just someone who's going to come in and Robert Saleh is a player's coach. Like, players are going to ball out for him, whether it's the first, second, or third string. And I think it'll be a whole different vibe. I think Detroit is entering that phase too, where you're going to get a good chance to sort of reinvigorate the team. I mean, Matt Stafford's getting a little older. You got a top 10 pick this year with Detroit. And they're not terrible when it comes to salary cap. So I think Detroit would be a pretty decent spot for Robert Saleh to land.
Alex?
I mean, if I'm him, I'm taking the Chargers job. That's the most complete team that you're going to have. You have your franchise quarterback, and him being defensive-minded, they have a lot of studs on defense if they can just keep him healthy. So if I'm a defensive-minded coach, I need to go somewhere where I have my franchise quarterback, because that's not my expertise. I'm not 100% in on that side of the ball, right? I'm mainly focused. My offensive coordinator is going to be my head coach for the offensive side, right? So I need my franchise quarterback. So I think the Chargers job is the most attractive out there, to be honest with you. I know everybody wants the Jags job, but listen, I think they've already made their mind up on Urban Meyer, which is going to be a travesty, and I can't wait to watch it unfold. Listen, the guy's a quitter.
I was waiting for you to say something.
He's an absolute snake in the grass. Yes, he won us a national championship college football playoff. Congratulations. But it's just like Alabama. It's not hard when you're top 1 or top 3 recruiting classes every year. It's like getting 15 first-round picks every year. It's not difficult in college. So I can't wait. I mean, he failed in the NFL before. We have a myriad of coaches that have failed in the NFL. He's going to start getting migraines about week 7, I think, and then he'll be off in La Land collecting his $10 to $12 million a year. So, yeah, but back to the subject. I think Saleh should take the Chargers job. I think with the people that they have on defense, he could really make that defense a top 5 defense in the NFL. I think he's a great coach. I agree. He is definitely a player's coach. He will reinvigorate them. But I'm not touching Detroit with a 10-foot pole. I'm not touching Philadelphia if you paid me $100 million a year as a head coach, because you just saw you get probably 1 to 2 years max there. I need a chance. Head coaches need 3 to 4 years really to implement their system, get their people in, get their draft picks in, everything like that. I think the Chargers will give him a chance, although I think Anthony Lynn getting fired really hurts him, because I don't think Anthony Lynn deserved to get fired. I just think he deserved another year, because those players were fighting for him, right? When they had nothing to fight for but a draft pick, and they fought for him. So it's funny that you brought that up. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of my buddies, and they sent me a link of Danny Woodhead and Matt Slauson on a podcast. And they were talking about how terrible of a coach Anthony Lynn is. Really?
I guess the OC there for the Chargers now finally took the reins over, because Philip Rivers was doing his own thing from 2018 to 2019, and 2017 to 2018. 2019 is when he was having issues with Lynn. I guess there was a lot of issues between him and Rivers. And so Rivers was doing his own offense pretty much for 2 years. So this is all what they were talking about, how Anthony Lynn doesn't develop players, isn't a really good coach, isn't a player-friendly coach. He comes off as trying to be a hard ass, but all he cares about is running backs. That's it. So that was kind of alarming to me. So I was like, okay, well then maybe the Chargers were doing something right. Maybe Tom Telesco was figuring something out. But, for me personally, I agree with you, Alex. I'm with you 1,000%. I want to see Robert go to the Chargers. I'm high on Eric Bieniemy. I like him a lot, but with what I've been hearing from Danny Woodhead in that podcast, it kind of changed my perspective on what this organization needs. And I think Robert can bring that to the Chargers, because the last time that we've been really successful in a window was with Marty. And I would love to have that reciprocated back with the Chargers, because like you said, it's a complete team, but it needs that defensive-minded coach to help them. The offense is fine. Herbert and those boys are good. So something to look forward to look into. Guys, he finally is here. Brian Attard.
Brian. Hey, guys. How are you?
We're doing good, man. How are you, brother?
Listen, Rangers start tomorrow night. Hockey started tonight. It's good times. Good times are here again.
Good. We were just talking about Robert Saleh. Asela. I cannot pronounce his last name right.
I think it's Saleh, right?
Yeah.
You're correct.
Where do you think he's going to land, Brian?
It's funny though. I was actually. It's interesting for him, right? Because to me, I think offense is the way to go with coaches, only because I think the game keeps moving more and more towards that. The defensive minds and stuff. I don't know that we're going to see, it's not a 50-50 split. I think if anything, it's probably 70-30. I heard you starting to talk about the Chargers. Drew, I don't know. I mean, I'd almost rather put an offensive genius around Herbert and just outscore teams. Like the Chiefs, for example, defense ain't that great, but they just blow the doors off you all the time.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter. And then if you go back to the TO Eagles with McNabb in 2004, their run defense was bad, but it was great because they were up 21-0 in every game, and then people stopped running the ball against them. So it makes your run defense look a lot better when teams have to throw on you and you make them one-dimensional. So when it's true that the best defense is a good offense, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that if I'm the Chargers, I really want a defensive guy. Bieniemy would be interesting because he brings that offensive pedigree. If you want to go with it, if you really want to put him somewhere where he could really help a defense, to me, it's Detroit.
You guys are killing me, man. I'm so tired of hearing about Bieniemy. He's got the best quarterback in the history of ever. I don't give him any credit for anything. There's studs all over the place in that place. He doesn't get credit for any of it.
So Brant is with you, Brian. Brant also said Detroit as well, and he's the hometown kid in Detroit. So I mean that could push a narrative probably, but let's move on. So Brian, you talked about Bieniemy. The Houston Texans already came out and said that he wasn't even a target for them to interview. Should he take the interview now because of Deshaun Watson?
No, we were on our show last night. We were trying to rank the openings. Houston's opening is just slightly better than the Eagles' opening.
Oh,
like not by much either, because that team's a total disaster, and they don't have the picks to fix it. And the only guy that's any good, you already pissed him off, right? So I don't know. They might be in the black hole of situation. I think the Eagles is the worst situation to go, but I think the Texans are like right there. So if I were him, I should. Yeah,
I think
I'm going to be in demand elsewhere in better spots.
I think Houston's in a really good position. The fact that Deshaun is making it clear that he wants to be traded. If I'm the new GM of Houston, I call up Cleveland and say I want Baker, OBJ, and a second or third rounder, and I've just fixed 90% of my problems that I have on offense right there.
You think? Wait, hold on. You think Houston would be better if they take Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr. and a pick? No
matter what you think about Baker Mayfield, he's a top 15 quarterback. The stats don't lie. I'm sorry.
I'm not going
to. Football Focus doesn't lie.
Yeah, but that's fine.
OBJ, when healthy and motivated, which he doesn't like Cleveland because it's not a big city. Houston's a bigger city, right? He's a top 5 wide receiver before he got hurt, before this going into this year. So you lost D-Hop, so you partially replaced D-Hop, right? For the magic beans that you got in return for him, and David Johnson and freaking
not even magic beans,
terrible picks, right?
The beans they're even that magical. Actually,
replaced Deshaun Watson, right? But the quarterback that's at least top 15, and you're not worried about. I think the Miami trade is absolutely hilarious. If I'm Houston, I wouldn't touch Tua with a 10-foot pole. They're not even sure they want him in Miami.
Alex, but the thing is with Big Ben and Baker, that chemistry isn't there. It's
OBJ
not working.
And Baker.
It's been there. I'm sorry. Yeah, OBJ and Baker. It's not there.
But OBJ's got a good trade stock. You could trade him again. Just because you get him doesn't mean you can't trade him again for somebody else and more picks. I just think that's the Browns offer the best package. Give them players.
San Francisco, I heard, is looking to offer multiple ones and Nick Bosa.
Oh my, they're idiots.
But they're not, because that is a top 3 quarterback in the league.
Sure.
And if you have that, everything else finds its way.
So you trade a top 3 quarterback for a top 3 defensive end. It seems to be that it's easier to find quarterbacks all of a sudden. There's 4 or 5 every year, and they come in the league, and they end up being good. So I would much rather have a stud defensive end that people thought was probably the best until he got hurt, right? I mean, I would
over a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
No.
That's my opinion. But I'm not in your guys. Listen, I'm not in your guys' category. You guys are all offensive guys. You've drank the Kool-Aid. I'm a defensive guy.
No. If I'm building my team, right? I've had these. To me, I'm looking at my offensive deep, my quarterback, my O-line, my D-line, my outside defense, inside defense, and then out in my offense. But that's a special talent. I mean, that team stinks. There is no talent on that team.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that only because I think Nick Bosa is very special. But I agree with you. Listen, the trade is worth it, right? Like, I would trade Myles Garrett for Deshaun Watson. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yeah. And multiple 1 picks, 100%, right? But it just doesn't make sense to me from San Fran, because you put yourself back a couple years. You're not going to get another stud DN.
No, you don't.
How do you figure?
In my opinion,
Defense is good.
Half their defense is hurt every year.
But if I'm Houston, what I really need is a cost-controlled quarterback for the next 4 to 5 years, and Tua would give you that. Again, I don't think we've seen what he can really do yet. I'm not gonna sell the kid. I'm not gonna pretend he's Dwayne Haskins. Sorry, Brent. I'm not where I'm gonna hate him coming in, right? But I either want a young enough quarterback that I can mold, or I want to pick to go get one. That's why, if I'm them, I don't think I want to go get Baker. That's not a shot against Baker. What that is Baker's already pretty close to his next deal. So I don't necessarily want to get myself back into a big. This is the whole thing with Dak too, because when you start paying the quarterback, it makes it so much harder to win because you don't have the money for anything else.
Yeah, I heard the Dak rumors to Houston. I think that's hilarious.
I heard Dak wants $40 million still.
Oh, of course he does. He still hasn't learned. He's
going to get it.
He proved he thinks in his head he's the best quarterback this year. He just got hurt, which is laughable. But
Brant, your thoughts?
This has been fun to watch. This has been exciting. No, if we're still talking about Deshaun Watson, or are we going back to Eric Bieniemy?
Sorry, I started that. I apologize.
Eric Bieniemy with the Texans, no, but I think Urban Meyer's just playing some games right now with the Jaguars, and I think Eric Bieniemy could definitely take a shot with the Jags when Urban Meyer doesn't pan out. I'm not in Alex camp when it comes to Eric Bieniemy. I think he's done a good job with this offense because sometimes the best coaching job is just wrangling in the talent you got. I mean, look at Phil Jackson, right? Are you going to say he's a good basketball coach or not? I mean, he wrangled some of the best talent and made them fit together and work.
He did institute the triangle. He did institute the triangle, which Jordan fought, and ended up making Jordan what he was. So, he's a good coach.
Yeah, but I think Eric Bieniemy.
You waited, Chris Bosh made LeBron the way he is.
Oh my lord! Anyways,
Ray Allen made LeBron that first championship.
I know.
LeBron stinks.
I know.
LeBron's terrible. It's garbage.
He's kidding, guy. Calm down.
But no, I think Eric Bieniemy should not go with the Texans. The Texans are a true dumpster fire. Deshaun Watson will be traded at some point, and they're just so lacking in talent.
Oh, here we go, Tony. Unbelievable. Sorry for interrupting, Grant, but this guy, man. Hey, he was only 210 yards short. Shut up. He was close.
Give him another quarter and a half. He'd have got there.
Yeah, totally, man. God. Give him 3 more games. He might have been close.
Sorry, Brent. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, Houston's trash. Though they're lacking talent. Their stars are getting older. I mean, you got your best offensive player right now outside of Deshaun Watson is Brandon Cooks, who
he stayed healthy this year for the most part.
He had a good year.
Yeah, but he's still not a top quarter. He's a wide receiver 2 or 3 at best at this point in his career.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
now
some people we know would like to equate him to Devontae Adams or some other star wide receiver, but that's just not the case with Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is not a top guy. And they're just lacking talent. So I think the only way to really get a good shot with the Texans is to do a fresh start, and that's by selling Deshaun.
All right.
Yeah, you got to get multiple because they traded multiples with Kenny Stills and Tunsil to Miami. So,
Houston is salvageable if you can get Deshaun on board. And you get somebody in there who's not a complete idiot. Listen,
how do you get him on board, though?
Well, look, it's going to take – look, they created this, right? They tell the guy, hey, we'll give you the input into who we're going to hire. And that's not him. That's not saying we're going to hire who you want, but we'll listen to you and get you part of the conversation. They even do that. All you have to do is get basically, oh yeah, sure, we'll interview that guy and then do what you want anyway. But at least you did that. You even do that. Just horrible management. That's just not seeing the forest for the trees. And it was a good hire. I like the guy they hired, but they got it the wrong way.
I think he was the best GM that's going to get hired this offseason by far, right? I'm really excited to see if he can turn it around. But my concern is, right, from all accounts, Deshaun Watson is a very humble guy. He's very invested, team-friendly guy. For him to come out and publicly say, I want to be traded, I think it's done. I think the relationship is fractured, and there's no way to bring him back in the camp.
No, we'll see. Urban Meyer, since we're talking about him so much, seems to be the hottest name right now across the NFL. There's the reports today where he's deciding between the Jags are waiting on an answer from him, and the Chargers are going about it a different way. Is he landing at a spot, Brant, or is he just playing games?
I think he's playing games. I don't think he goes anywhere. I don't think he's coming to the NFL. Because, I mean, if you look at a team that he'd want to go to, he wants to be a winner, right? Like, he's not going to go in college and go to Texas State and be like, I'm going to build this up. No, he wants to go to a team that's going to win now. There's no teams. I mean, probably the Chargers have the best win now scenario with the roster they have, but I don't think he'll go there. But even though the Chargers would be a great place for an offensive coach, like Byron Leftwich maybe, but an offensive coach is where the Chargers should go. I don't think they should go defense with Saleh. I know we talked about that, but I think Urban Meyer's just playing games. He loves the carousel, but he's going to still be in the booth next year, in my estimation.
Brian?
Jaguars are bust. And I think he's, pardon the pun, he's very much a prostitute right here. He just wants a 12 mil. He don't care where he gets it, but he wants that 12 mil. He'd prefer it to be in Florida, but he'll take the 12 mil. Someone wants to give him $12 million. I don't think he's worth $12 million. I don't think he's necessarily like the best option. Like I'd probably rather go with a coordinator that's been at the pro level over a guy like Urban Meyer, because again, there's just something about coaches that bring in, what's the word I'm really looking for? Like Harbaugh, when he went to Michigan, when he left the NFL, went to Michigan, was like a celebrity coach, right? That's what Urban Meyer would be coming into the NFL. Like these coordinators that nobody outside of like actual like football fans have heard of. Like those are people that really like give them a shot. Like, and to me, like that for a young team, like that's kind of what you really want with a pick like that. I mean, do you really want a guy like Urban Meyer pumping his chest so Trevor Lawrence gets there, screws up Trevor Lawrence, and then what do you do after that? You're in the same cycle over and over again. I think if he goes somewhere, it's Jacksonville. I don't know that's the best idea for either party, but he's looking for a check.
I already know Alex's feelings on it, so I'm just going to talk real quick. I don't want Urban Meyer. I'm going to you. Hold on. I don't want Urban Meyer the Chargers. I don't want him. I rather take Brian. I can't say his last name. Brian DeBali, the offensive coordinator for the Bills. Yeah. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to get the job. His relationship with Tom Telesco goes way back to high school. I really think he's going to end up getting the position. I'm with Brant. I think Bieniemy is going to go to Jacksonville, and I think Urban Meyer is just throwing smoke. I'll be honest with you. And if I'm a franchise, an organization, would I give a college coach with no prior NFL experience as a head coach $12 million? I couldn't do it. There's no way. I'd rather lure back Rex Ryan and give him $12 million before I give it to Urban Meyer. And that's not knocking him down. Obviously, Alex is about to do it. But Alex, how do you feel about it? Go ahead, real quick.
Well, listen, Khan will definitely give him $12 million. I think Khan would give him 15 if he asked for 15. Like, Khan is trying to rebrand that franchise, right, and trying to put butts in the seats when we're actually allowed to put butts in the seats, right? And what is Urban Meyer going to do with butts in the seats, right? So he's got all that fandom from Florida, right? Won 2 national championships. I think he's a terrible pick anywhere, right? I'm not a fan of his in the NFL. He, like I said, he doesn't get 25 first-round picks every year. You get 1. And so I just don't think he'll be successful. And I think a year and a half in, the Jags are going to regret it because he's going to get migraines and retire again. So, but I do think he ends up at the Jags. I think it's like they're going to give him the money and they're going to let him hire whatever staff he wants. And they're going to probably give him some GM control, which is a terrible idea.
The college game is so much different than the pro game. And it's football, but it's not. I mean, it's just a completely different. And look at Saban, right? Saban
7 national championships.
Football. Saban was terrible in the NFL. It's completely different. You can't just extrapolate the idea that you were successful in one that you'll be any good at the other.
Yep.
I mean, would Bill Belichick be successful in college football? I don't know. Can you recruit? Because that's really what's the name of the game there. It's just like it's so different. Like even these guys who get these jobs. Yeah, think of in Carolina. Like I don't know what that's going to turn out being. I mean, I'm going to give him the shot. That's fine. But like, what are my expectations? Yeah,
right.
No, I think a good example of college coach coming in similar to Urban Meyer. Look at Steve Spurrier going to Washington in the early 2000s. Like how badly that played out. It was such like he was like, I'm gonna bring my
experiment.
No, it
It's
wasn't
also-
Patrick Ramsey. It was Danny Werfel from Florida, Shane Matthews from Florida.
Those
Like,
helmets they wore like one time are pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's rumors that if Urban takes a job, he takes Fields over Lawrence, right? Like, how insane would that be?
That's a good enough reason not to give him the job.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
Goodness.
Let's final question for first down. Should Big Ben come back in 2021? There's been a lot of rumors going around. The tears in his eyes after the loss to Cleveland Browns. Him and Pouncey staying at the bench after the game for several minutes. Pouncey came out saying that they had an agreement with each other that one retires, the other one will retire. One plays when one play. Well, now it's been reported that Pouncey is now like 60-40 on retiring. Big Ben has no idea what's going to happen. He's going to talk. He's going to pray about it, talk to his family. Brant, let's start with you. Should he come back? What does he have to fight for in 2021?
I mean, Pittsburgh's one of those teams. They got hit with some injuries earlier in the season. I mean, they looked good right until they played the Redskins, and then after that, it was just straight downhill. If I'm him, I think he's still got something in the tank. He had some good games. I mean, if you take away the drops from Deontay Johnson, Eric Ebron, like those guys got some brick hands at moments, and Deontay Johnson still ended up having a really good game. They could come back and make noise. I don't see that being anything that would hold him back. It's just if he wants to. Like, I mean, he's getting older. He's definitely not in the best of shape anymore. And at what point are you thinking about life after the game? But I think he comes back and at least tries to help Pittsburgh get set up for the future, because Mason Rudolph definitely is not it. And I think he'll get him at least one more year before hanging it up.
Brian, with that being said, and I saw you nodding a little bit, agreeing to Brant what he was saying.
Well,
if Ben does come back, do you think he'll come back? And then the second part of that question is, should Pittsburgh invest into drafting a rookie quarterback?
The best thing Ben Roethlisberger can do to help the Steelers is retire, because he's carrying a $41 million cap hit next year for a team that's got 203 in liability. This cap's going to drop, call it 175. So you're 30 million over right now. $30 million over the cap, and you have to like try to gut your roster to get below it. I mean, let's call it what it is. He's 38 years old. He's not what he used to be, and they're not really set up for him to be successful. I mean, he's not. You can't drop him back 60 times a game and expect to win that game. They can't run the ball. They need to totally like redo that entire offensive line for the most part. You know, the best thing Pittsburgh could do is draft a quarterback, let him take his lumps and play. And this is why I was so critical of the trade last year for Micah Fitzpatrick. Not that it didn't work out, but you make that trade when you're 0-3, not knowing what that pick's going to be, because your backup quarterback stinks, and Ben was the reason you were any good offensively. Had they gone like 4-12 or whatever it would have been, you could have used that pick for a quarterback, because you don't know what your future is. Now you're walking into this and you don't know who's going to be available where you need to pick. You may need to go and trade up for somebody. I don't know what they're going to necessarily do. I don't think financially it makes sense for him to come back for the team. If they decide to cut him, that's not going to be fun in the media and in with the fans. And then what if he decides to go somewhere else? Like, it's just like, it's not Tom Brady, but like it has like that feel to it, like where, okay, I'm not going to be here anymore and I might go somewhere else. If I bet I don't want to do that. I personally think that we saw him play his last game last night. Or this last Sunday. I think it's the best thing for him and the best thing for the team. Having said that, don't be surprised if he plays again, because Pittsburgh's very loyal. Look at the coaching. I mean, they keep guys forever. They've had 3 coaches their entire existence. So I don't think it's good for either side. I mean, I think they're going to keep asking to do more and more, and I just don't think he can do it the way he used to. They need, again, running backs, offensive line, they need all of this fixed. Paying a guy $41 million next year is not going to help them do that.
Alex?
I pray about this every night that he comes back next year, because he's a scrub, a shell of himself.
I can't hear you. Speak up.
He's an absolute bum now. He's a shell of himself. He he made 68 attempts in that game.
They have no rushing attack.
Right. I understand.
That's not on him.
He can't throw the ball further than 20 yards now. I'm okay with him coming back.
can.
Please come back, Ben. I'm
Look at you
begging
pumping your
you.
chest because you got to win over
I'm
them. Look at
begging
you.
you. We got 2 wins over him, by the way, but that's fine. I mean, neither here nor
He
there.
didn't play last week.
Yeah,
He didn't play last
Neither
week.
here nor there. No, but I mean, we just drug him up and down the field the last game, so it's no big deal.
Oh,
But anyways,
my
no, I pray that he comes
Oh,
back.
my God.
I really do. It's finally nice to not be afraid of Ben Roethlisberger as a Browns fan because he's done. He's washed.
He beat you the first game of the season.
Okay, cool.
So what do you mean you're not afraid?
Not afraid. He's washed.
Brian, let me ask you, can they restructure his contract?
I guess, but I mean, like, what are you really going to do? I mean,
I would take away $20 million from that.
yeah, but like, if you restructure, all you're really doing is adding money into the following year. He says he's going to play the following year, and then like it. You know what you just reminded me of? It's like the Eagles and Howie Roseman, right? Howie Roseman's this like wonderful cap genius. Like, oh, look at what Howie Roseman. Dude's got a spreadsheet with a mixed up formula. They're so far over the cap for next year that like all they've been doing is putting money into the future. Okay, cool. You go into debt. Congratulations. You are a smart GM, man. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed. Yeah. I mean, that's what these teams are running into now, especially with that lower cap is, the sins of the past are going to come up and bite them in the ass now. And it's the worst possible time for some teams. So could they restructure it? Maybe. I mean, it's really, but you shouldn't need to talk him into coming back either. Like he should kind of make that call. And you know what? Like if he wants to play, okay, well, Ben, if you want to play, we got to do this with your deal because we can't fill the roster. Okay. That's him making. I mean, he's earned that. He's earned that with them.
That's what I'm saying. I think he is going to come back, and I think he'll find ways to help this team out financially. I mean, if he does restructure the contract, I do believe that if he retires in 2022, I don't think that money will hit. So maybe there's a way that they can go around it. I don't know. I'm not a cap wizard, but for me personally, after what I watched last game, I think he's got more in the tank. I think he will come back next year. Now the question is Juju. Juju's gone. He's out. We might as well kick his ass out the door. He's gonna go find another place to go play. They got Claypool. No, that's what I'm saying. They got Claypool, they got Johnson, and they got Washington. So they're fine receiving wise.
He's an overpriced luxury. Yeah. They don't need him at all.
There is no team in football that recycles receivers better than Pittsburgh. There's always a next guy, and they're good. Like it's not even like that you shove them into the role. Like they're actually good.
Yeah, like how good is Johnson? Like he came out of nowhere and he's
killing his hands.
He looked well.
Wasn't it like
there's a lot of receivers that needed to fix their hands this year?
Who's the
Hollywood Brown? I mean, I can name a bunch, man.
The name is escaping me now. He was like a speedster before Antonio Brown got there, but he was the elite guy. Then Brown was the elite guy. Then Juju was the elite guy.
Well, they made Santonio Holmes elite for a couple of years. Mike Wallace was elite there for a couple of years.
That's what it was.
Plexico Burris was elite there. I mean,
they always have two. Mm-hmm. It's like Star Wars. It's like the Sith. There's always two, and then one takes over from the apprentice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's take it down. We're going to dive in and recap wild card games, and then we're going to talk about the division round. Check out this clip real quick.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar. Told you that I go far. Check me out now.
And that's where you can find the buzz on the social media apps, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Check us out. Let's get into it, guys. No MySpace yet. We're not friends with Tom anymore.
Damn.
Let's take it down. Wild card. We're going to recap it real quick. I just want to talk about the game just for a little bit, get into the divisional round. Let's start with Brant, Colts 24, Bills 27. We were half and half, actually, believe it or not, last week with Alex, myself, Brian, and Tony. What surprised you of this game?
I was surprised it was as close as it was. I know the Colts have a good defense, but I thought the Bills would come out and put it on them a little bit more than they did. I thought it was going to be at least 7-8 points. I mean, that it was down to 3 was pretty surprising. And if the Colts had a kicker that was a little bit more reliable, this game might not end it the way it is. Yeah, exactly. That's my big shock with this. I just thought the Bills' offense was going to come out and do a little bit better than they did.
Does it scare you for this week coming up? That'll be a question we'll talk about in divisional round. Alex, real quick, Colts, Bills. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Brant touched on exactly my point. I thought it was going to be at least a 10-point win. I thought they were going to drub them, and it was a very close game. They were in there in the end, and I was worried for Bills. I thought they were going to lose it. So it was a good game. This was probably my favorite game of the weekend for sure. Besides, obviously, the Browns, but that's Homer stuff right there. That's not like actual football stuff.
Brian?
I think this is a game more the Colts lost than the Bills won. I thought Frank Reich did an absolutely horrendous job, and I've been a Frank Reich guy ever since he left Philly. I've been saying that's the reason why they've been as bad as they've been, was that he left and he was kind of the secret sauce there. But look, they had like 500 yards of total offense. They outgained the Bills. They didn't turn the ball over. Like everything that you say you need to do to win a football game, the Colts did. But Frank Reich constantly, I didn't like the 4th down call, didn't like the 2-point conversion call. I didn't like most things Frank Reich did in this game. I don't know if it was just the spot was too big for him. If I am a Buffalo fan, I do have some concerns about next week. I think the line indicates that. But like I said, Buffalo did enough to win this game, but the Colts did them a lot of favors along the way.
Yeah, man. Long story short, Rivers played a great game. I can't take anything away from Rivers. Most dropped passes of the weekend was the Colts receivers and the running backs. I believe it was 10 total drop passes throughout the game. Colts killed themselves. Brian, I don't mind the calls going for sticks instead of kicking that field goal. I don't mind it because you're playing in Buffalo. You're trying to be aggressive, and I get that point. And the play was there. It was just this much of a throw, but all together. Oh, go ahead.
Go back to Cowboys Packers 4th and 2 when Dez didn't catch the ball. That play was there too, but you're on 4th and 2. Just run the ball. Like you're outthinking yourself. In a spot like that, you kick that
Seahawks, Patriots.
Yeah, you kick that field goal there. You're keeping us close. You were running the ball down their throat. You were pretty much exerting your will offensively. Like you don't need to do that. And it wasn't as if the Bills came out there and were lighting it on fire. You were doing a good job defensively at the time. So, again, it's smartest guy in the room type stuff. I didn't like that, but I absolutely hated they took a penalty. We're on the 1. Let's go for 2. It's just no need.
Yeah,
and you cost yourself. Changes the rest of the game.
I agree with that. And we could flip flop and say if it happened, he's a genius. What a great move. That's just the way football it is. But I'll tell you this much: their future looks really bright. The Indianapolis Colts will look really good. Let's get into it. Probably my most disappointing game of the week. Seahawks 20, Rams 30. Alex, what in the hell happened to the Seahawks?
Russell Wilson happened. I wasn't impressed with him at all. He has looked the worst. And I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan.
So am I.
So he looked the worst I've ever seen him look in a game, in a crucial game, which he just doesn't do. I don't know what has happened to him. I thought the defense played well enough until it got out of control, right? And then the score doesn't reflect the game. I never thought the Seahawks were going to win the game from the first quarter on. I thought the Rams had it the whole time. You had a chance when Donald got hurt and was out of the game, and you went 3 and out. Like, I don't know what happened. To me, I put this on Wilson. If we're going to give him all the credit for the wins, you got to give him the credit for the loss, and he did not look great to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. No rushing attack at all from Chris Carson and this offense line. This offense line, obviously, Brian and Brant and Alex, has gone downhill. It's evident. Russell Wilson was in the top 5 most quarterbacks hits in the second half of the season. Also, Russell Wilson did play good. 17.7 QBR, his lowest career ever in his career. I explained it a little bit on it. It was obviously Ramsey on DK. Besides DK making that play, that touchdown, Ramsey wasn't on him. When Ramsey was on him for 95% of the game, nothing happened. You put Tyler Lockett over the slot, and they're double bracketing and their coverages on him, basically making it where he can't get open. Where's your third guy? Where's Moore? Where's your tight end? This is the issues that Seahawks have been having for years. Ever since they traded away Max Unger for Jimmy Graham, it's like nothing works. And I don't get it anymore. I don't understand it. A little bit goes on Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll takes a little bit of blame here. He's been living off that Super Bowl run in 2013 for way too long now. They got rid of all their good defensive players, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman. The list goes on. And nothing is working drafting-wise. I feel like they're not hitting besides DK. So there's got to be issues to go and talk with Pete Carroll and this defense because it seems like nothing is hitting. Brian, what do you got to say about Sean McVay?
Listen, I hated the call of not starting Goff because clearly Goff was fine, right? That to me was like, what are you trying to prove? I mean, I'm watching the guy throw 60-yard bombs in warm up. I'm like, he's not playing. I really thought that was a decision that, could come back to bite them, but in a weird way, he ended up back in the game and got, hope the other guy's going to be fine, but Wofford. But, listen, I like the Rams coming in, especially if Goff played, because I think the Seahawks have been a house of cards for a while. And, they put 2 picks into Jamal Adams. That has not worked out at all. He's hurt, can't cover anybody. And now I don't know where you go if you're Seattle. And Drew, we talked about this months ago. What does the salary cap look like in a couple of years? Because if you're going to give this guy a deal, I mean, Russ needs money. Bobby Wagner Russ and Bobby Wagner are going to make about half of your salary, $100 million or some obscene number. And they consistently don't draft offensive line help. They just rely on Russ, and Russ can only do so much. It's just not a recipe for success. I was not shocked at all that the Rams won this game. I picked them to win. They're gonna give Green Bay a run for their money this weekend. And Seattle's got some soul searching because that deal is gonna set them back because now they don't have the firepower to go out there and get offensive line help.
And we talked about it too, Brian. We talked about the fact of them missing on the draft. I mean, let's talk about Rashad Penny. Wasted a first-round pick.
One of the worst picks in the last 10 years, easy. And you knew it when it was like, you knew it immediately. Like everybody thinks like these guys that run football are like so smart, but like everybody in America knew, what the hell are you doing? Like they don't make first round picks. I think because they don't want to screw them up because they keep trading down. So that you can't, if you don't make them, you can't screw them up. Total disaster. I don't know where they go from here. Again, I mean, it's not quite Houston where you have one player because I mean, DK is going to be fine. Running backs are a dime a dozen. You know how I feel about that. But they're going to have to rebuild this defense again, and they don't have the draft capital really to make a big move there.
Brant, give us your thoughts.
I put a lot of this on the coaching staff. I know you're going to have to, obviously you need the players to execute on the field, but I mean, there's a reason Schottenheimer was just let go for a difference of opinion, difference of philosophy. With this team, you've got way too much talent to be going out like this to a good Rams team, but they just laid down. Dissely and Hollister are decent tight ends, but I think they combined for 1 catch. The number 3 wide receiver was Freddie Swain. DK had a decent game of like 5 for 96 and 2 touchdowns, but Lockett just disappeared. And the Rams just had their way with the offensive line. I mean, if you know what you're working with, your offensive line's busted, you need to do something to help them. Chris Carson averaged 4.8 yards per carry, but didn't reach 20 carries. I mean, you got to help your guys.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, as a coaching staff, you know what you're working with. Like you looked at the last few weeks of the year, you saw that this offense was starting to struggle. So give Chris Carson the rock, hit Carlos Hyde, get their running backs involved. You have talent on the offensive side, and the way that it came out in this game was just disappointing.
And see, that's why I agree with you, Brad. That's what I was trying to tell the guys here is like it's game of adjustments. Aaron Donald goes out like Alex said. That's your meat and potatoes of where to run. And Chris Carson still wasn't running the ball. It just doesn't make any sense to me what they were planning once Donald went out. But like Brian said, a lot of soul searching. They got to figure out what they're going to do because guess what? They don't get to pick in the first round for the next 2 years. So good luck to that. Washington football team, your team, Brant, that has no team name. 23, Buccaneers, 31. I'm going to start it off real quick. Tom Brady is the GOAT. I don't know if you guys didn't remind it. I didn't remind you again. Tom Brady is the freaking GOAT. 381 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns here and there. Gronkowski one-on-one with your best player, arguably on defense, and Chase Young. No sacks. Obviously, that was Gronk is showing us what he still has in the tank. No Ronald Jones got hurt. Leonard Fournette did his job. Antonio Brown had a great game. Mike Evans had a really good game. Obviously, there looks like there's no injury problems with him. But here's the thing that really kind of opened my eyes a little bit. If you're a Buccaneers fan, that defense does not look good at all whatsoever. And I'm gonna tell you, you got to give props to the quarterback, Taylor.
Heineke.
Taylor Heineke.
Makes you want a beer.
Yeah, it does make you want to have a beer. You got to give it up to him, Brant, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Bucs defense made him look like Lamar Jackson out there. Let's be honest, right? Like, he threw for over 300 yards. He ran for almost another 50, two scores. The interception he threw was a tip ball at the line, so I don't fault him too much for that. But no, the Bucs defense, their run defense looks solid. I mean, they stopped our running game from the get-go. But it was all about Tom Brady. Tom Brady took the number 2 pass defense in the NFL, and he just shredded them over and over and over and over again. Ronald Darby had looked pretty good for Washington this year. He had a really good season, and he just got tore up repeatedly. Kendall Fuller, same thing on the other side. I mean, Mike Evans, he struggled in the first quarter, and I was like, sweet, this is the Mike Evans we're going to get. And by the end of the game, he had over 100 yards, and I was just like, goodness, this guy looked so hobbled in the first half, and he just gutted it out. And Gronk, like, how unselfish was he? He didn't catch a pass, but like you said, he helped chip in on Chase Young. Cameron Brake got most of the reception opportunities for the tight ends. And it was a good offensive game for the Bucs, but I definitely would have some worries about them going into the next game against the Saints.
Definitely. Alex.
Yeah, listen, this was my second favorite game of the weekend, not my Browns. And I think Heineke deserves a shot next year. I don't understand how he didn't beat out Haskins for the starting job once Alex Smith wasn't an option. I mean, I understand that their defense was not great, but this kid is a dual threat quarterback. He gives you the best opportunity that I've seen besides Alex Smith, but I don't think Alex Smith comes back next year. I think Alex Smith had a wake-up call, and he realizes he's putting his life in jeopardy every time he steps on the field. But Heineke, I think he gives you guys a legit shot. I think he deserves a shot next year because you're not going to be able to draft a quarterback this year because you made the playoffs. By that simple fact, you're going to have to get a fringe guy like maybe Trask from Florida, and I think Trask is a project, right? I don't know if he can give you what you need. I think Heineke might be your guy. I mean, you bring in a veteran maybe, you know, like a Stafford or something like that, and you groom Heineke. You groom Heineke for your future. I really liked Heineke. I understand he was playing against an inept defense for the most part, but he made the plays he needed to make, and he made this game exciting. They only lost by 8 points, and they were predicting these guys to get run off the field, which I knew wasn't going to happen because your front seven's really good.
So, the reason he wasn't a big part of everything is he didn't sign to the team until December 8th.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you're looking from today's date, he's been like 35 days, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that he came in and played so well is really good. I mean, he was great at Old Dominion in college. He's been on multiple different teams. He came in for the practice squad because he had been with Ron Rivera before, and he played well. Do I think he's necessarily the answer? No, but I'd definitely give him a shot. I think he's better than anything we got on the roster right now. I think he's better than what Alex Smith would give, and I think he's better than what Kyle Allen gives us. But no, looking at the future going forward, I think Washington has a good team. Like, we have a good offense. I mean, we need another guy across from McLaurin. And our defense is solid. Like, I really like what the defense is going forward. And we have the 4th most cap space. So that gives, Washington
I really like
fans.
Logan Thomas, but I liked him at Tech as a quarterback. But I knew he wouldn't be successful in the league as a quarterback. But that transition was great. I mean, I think he's what Tim Tebow would have been if Tebow would have played tight end. Like, I really like him. He creates matchup nightmares, I think.
Yeah.
Brian?
I mean, look, let's not put him in Canton yet, right? I mean, let's look. He had a good game. He had a good game against a team with not a lot of defensive pushback. He didn't not a lot of tape on the kid. Look, he came into a big spot, played as well as he could. I don't think anybody really came into this game expecting the Washington football team, to win, but they held their own. I think that's all you can really ask for. From a Tampa Bay perspective. The problem that defenses are going to run into is who do you cover? It's just there's just so many guys in the field that you have to account for. And that's the problem is if you're going to single up Evans or Godwin or Brown, I mean, someone's going to be open and Tom's going to find them. So, I mean, again, I think if you said before the game that they were going to score 23 points, you probably thought, oh, okay, and they're in the discussion. I don't think anybody thought the Bucs had put up 31 on them. I don't know how that lends itself towards the future for the Bucs team, but I mean the defense is an issue. It's been an issue, but that goes back to what my first point was. This is an offensive league. It's where you hire offensive guys as offensive coaches because that's how you're going to win games, just by scoring points. I think a name to keep in mind, frankly, and I know Brant's going to want to punch me in the face when I say this, but I think if a guy to keep in mind at the quarterback spot for Washington is Cam Newton. Don't be surprised if it happens. There's already links going on. Knows Rivera, free agent, it's just money, have cap space.
I'll laugh so hard.
If it happens, don't act surprised. That's all.
Let's go backwards as an organization. Let's go backwards.
Agreed. I mean, unless you're going to run the power I formation.
Did you watch any New England games this year? He's not going. Hey, if he goes to Washington, I feel terrible for you, bro. I really do.
I would too.
Just throwing that out there. Don't be surprised.
Hey, if that's the case, you might as well just ask Mark Burley to come back.
What's he doing?
Well, I'm better shot with him.
Mark Brunell, you mean?
Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell was a pitcher. He might be a good quarterback too.
Yeah.
Maybe. Look like Mark Brunell at least.
Ravens 20, Titans 13. Alex, Derrick Henry was supposed to run for 250. What happened, bro?
This is the most disappointing game of the freaking weekend. The Titans had a shot.
You damn right they did.
They wouldn't abandon the run, even though they weren't getting any yards. Tannehill was slicing them up. I don't care. If he does not fall, if that wide receiver does not fall down on that route, it's a different story. Peters did not make that interception. He cannot stomp on the logo and act like a thug that he is. Period. Like it was embarrassing if I'm a Tennessee fan. Absolutely embarrassing. I understand that Henry got you there, but you knew that was a stout run defense. You knew it was going to be tough. And if you threw the ball 60 times like Ben did against the Browns, I wouldn't have been upset because that was your advantage. You could have their big wide receivers matched up well.
For me personally, I wrote in the column last week that the X factor for the game for teams be Ryan Tannehill. He needed to be that quarterback that got paid that money and be able to carve up this defense when Derrick Henry is faced against a bulldozing defensive line that obviously they got away from the run. I mean, below 50 yards, guys. Derrick Henry, if he's not going, this team doesn't go. And so with that being said, kudos to Lamar Jackson for getting a dub. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore moving forward in the postseason. But let's not act like this was a Lamar Jackson show. This is Baltimore Ravens defense in and out, holding the Tennessee Titans to only 13 points. That's a win in itself already as it is. And that's with one of the best kickers of all time missing a field goal. I know that's why the game was 2013, let's be honest here. So, Tannehill had an opportunity. We saw in the first drive, A.J. Brown, Tannehill all day long, and then they go away from it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. If Henry's not going to work, you got to be that guy that can carve up defenses. And once again, Brian, I'm going to go to you here, but once again, we're left with question marks with Ryan Tannehill. Like, is he worth the money that he was paid, Brian?
Inexcusable interception at the end of that game. And that lost them the game. And listen, if you really look at it, Tennessee scored 3 points after the first quarter. I mean, Baltimore really, really hunkered down and really just stopped. I mean, look, everybody knows you have Derrick Henry's 2,000-yard rusher, who we find out 2,000-yard rushers don't really do that well in the playoffs historically, apparently. And worked its way here today. They shut down what you do. You have to be able to do something else, and they couldn't do it. And give full credit to it. Look, Lamar Jackson, this game looked like it was going to get away from them in the first half, and he had that great run in the second quarter, just changed everything. Full momentum change after that with a 50-some-odd yard run. And that can happen. And it's demoralizing when you are in the defense, when you were doing such a good job against the other offense and he just pulls something like that. There's no defense for that. But Tennessee, again, the offense was a problem. I don't really know how you fix it because, again, now you're stuck with Tannehill. Tannehill played very well throughout the year. Look, I've been a critic. He got them there. I mean, they won their division, but he did not have a very good game in this game. And that's what happens in the postseason. It's a different game in the postseason. He didn't play very well. At the end, they were in this game. They had a chance to tie the game. It was his ball that got intercepted. It's just down to it.
It's his fault that he threw the ball before the guy slipped, right? That's hilarious, Brian. I mean, the ball was perfectly thrown. If the wide receiver doesn't slip, it's a completion, and we're talking about a different outcome, most likely.
I just look at it and, like, again, you score 3 points after the first quarter. It should have been in that spot.
Agreed.
Now, people forgot how good this Ravens defense was, though. In the first half of the season, they were, top 2-3 defenses in the league? I mean, they were just shut down. And they obviously came out. I mean, I am personally not a fan of this Titans offense because, I mean, watching them through the regular season, they have a tendency to either overdo the run or get away from the run. There were so many games earlier in the year where they would get away from Derrick Henry early and end up trying to shove him down the defense's face later. And I just don't like the balance. It's lacking in harmony for me, like when I'm watching them play. But no, this was purely the Lamar Jackson show. I mean, that dude he ran for 136 yards with a touchdown. I mean, he single-handedly put this offense on his back and said, "We're going to make this happen." And I said, people just forgot how good this Ravens defense can be, and they just happen to have one of their best outings of the season.
Alex, real quick.
Oh, yeah. I already talked about it. Remember? I was
okay.
the first. I went first.
My bad. Real quick, guys. This is the most boring game of the week for me. Bears and Saints. Nothing much to talk about it. We knew where this was going in. I thought the score should have been more, but it was 9-21. Oh, it is what it is. Drew Brees had a good game. 2 touchdown passes, I believe, right? One to Michael Thomas and one to Jared Cook. And then Alvin Kamara touch. Look good. Bear terrible. Their defense, they held their own to the most part against this high-powered offense. But that kid that missed that trick play, wide open touchdown, I don't know his name, but Bears are missing a lot of players, Brian. When I watched the game, they were missing Mahoney. They lost Anthony Miller. They were losing 2 linebackers. Writing was on the wall before the game even started, but obviously the Saints were the better team. They won. They deserved the win. Now we get the Saints and Bucks. Your thoughts, Brian?
I enjoyed this game because I watched the Nickelodeon broadcast. It was very interesting. I mean, it made it enjoyable. Every time the slime came out for a touchdown, it was like a train wreck. You couldn't stop watching it. I mean, look, I don't think anything on the field went differently than anybody thought it would. If anything, they thought the Saints would score more points. You're absolutely right. But the Bears defense is good. But these are 2 teams that have had some, horrific playoffs, disastrous losses. And look, the Bears shouldn't have been here. Let's just call it what it is. And this should be the end of the road for the Mitch Trubisky experiment, in my opinion. I think they need to make a wholesale change. As it turns out, they're not going to make a change at coach and GM. It is what it is. Long-suffering Bears fans, whatever. I don't think you can read too much about next week out of this one because the Bears they're an 8-8 team that only got in because there was a 7th spot.
Brett?
I'm pretty much on the same thing. I think the Saints definitely disappointed a little bit in this one. It could have been definitely a wider margin of victory. But I think the biggest thing that comes out of this game is the collective sigh of relief from Chicago that Mitch Trubisky is probably done in Chicago and that, next year it'll be a different starting quarterback in there for him.
Yeah, but every time Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson comes to town, they'll be reminded.
Maybe they'll trade for Deshaun Watson. He's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I watched maybe 5 whole minutes of this game. And
Okay, we'll move on.
I was not impressed.
We'll move on. Here we go, Alex. Start us off. Browns 48, Steelers 37. Upset shock of the weekend. What you got, brother?
Hey, thank God for the first quarter. That's all. That's all it boiled down to. Everybody was messaging me and going off in my DMs about congrats, great, da da da. I said, listen, Baker Mayfield's our quarterback. Let's wait till the end of the game before we start celebrating. He'll let him get back in the game, and he did. 37-48. We hung on by 11. So it's a good thing we got the 28 instead of 21 in the first quarter, because if we'd have lost, and it would have been terrible. So listen, I'm ecstatic. Right, I thought there were some positives. The fact that Bitonio wasn't playing, the fact that Ward wasn't there. These are all good things. I'm very excited for this game against Kansas City. Yes, I know we're a super underdog, but I'm excited from what I saw from that defense. And we got the monkey off of our back, right? We got a playoff win against a division rival who was the division winner, and nobody thought we had a chance because they didn't have 9 guys from the week before, playing this week. So I'm excited, man. As a Browns fan, it's great to be alive. It's good. I'm happy. I'm excited about the future. Still not voting for Baker for president, though. So
All right, we're gonna move on real quick. We're running a little bit behind time. Check out this last clip we have for you guys, and then we're going to talk about the divisional round real quick.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block, throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, swish. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day. It's all hard work, but it's why what happens when we play 9 out of 10 times. I'ma lap you.
That's our network. That's our shows. Check us out every day. We got something going on for you. All right, boys, let's get into it real quick. Green Bay Packers is the first game of the weekend against the Los Angeles Rams, the 1 seed against the 6 seed. Brent, who you got and who's your X factor?
Give me Green Bay, and I think Green Bay is so happy that the Rams happened to beat the Seahawks, because I think the hardest team for the Packers to play against is the Bucs. I think the Bucs match up really well against them, and I think having the Rams come in will be a nice test because there's good defense. But Devontae Adams is going to be my X factor, because Jalen Ramsey's probably going to be on him, but I expect at least 15 targets for Devontae Adams, and I think he gets over 100 yards.
Alex?
I'm going Rams. I like the defense. I think Donald is he lives rent free in Aaron Rodgers' mind. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think he's going to dominate. So he's my X factor.
Okay. Brian?
I don't necessarily know this was the matchup Green Bay wanted. Tampa coming into the cold is different than Tampa playing in Tampa, and I think they owe him one from earlier in the year. I do think Green Bay wins this game, but I agree Devontae Adams is going to get, it's a great matchup with Jalen Ramsey. So to me, I got 2 X factors here. Number 1, I need Aaron Jones to take over this game, because I may not be able to find Devontae Adams as often as I would like to if I'm Aaron Rodgers. And also, they need a second receiver, or possibly even Tanyan, to do something, because again, if you cannot rely on Adams for volume, you need to be able to spread that ball around. And that's really been their problem for a long time, is they have that one guy, but they haven't really had anybody else step up. So, Valtez Scantling, Robert Tanyan, Lylon Lazard, like someone's going to have a good game so that it's not all on Devontae Adams. Because, again, you're going up against Jalen Ramsey, who should have been the Cowboys pick in that draft. Green Bay wins the game, though.
I agree. I got Green Bay. My X factor for me is Aaron Jones. I think this team's going to go as far as they can with the running game. I think Devontae Adams is going to be pretty locked down with Jalen Ramsey. I can't wait to watch that. Cool fact, Devontae Adams in all playoff games with Green Bay, he's at 100 yards in the TD. That tells you something how big of a player he is in the big time games. But my X factor is Aaron Jones. This running game has to be established. A side note: the guy that they just signed to play left tackle or right tackle from Bakatari being out for all year, he can't play. He tested positive for COVID, so he's gonna miss. He's missing out on a tackle. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they're gonna do with the passing game with Aaron Rodgers and the weather. I really do think, Brian, I'm agree with you that Aaron Jones is gonna be that guy. So he has to be that guy. This is my favorite game of the week. Buffalo Bills, 2 seed. Welcome the Baltimore Ravens, the number 5 seed. Alex, we're going to start with you. Who's your X factor, and what's your prediction?
I think Josh Allen is my X factor. And I think that Stephon Diggs is going to really show out and really prove that he's a top echelon wide receiver in this game, and I think the Bills win. I'm not going to say they blow them out. I think it's going to be a nail biter, but I think they score a touchdown late, maybe win by 8, something in that range.
Brian.
Something tells me that Dawson Knox needs 2 touchdowns in this game. I think that they're going to be able to lock up the receivers on the outside again, and they'll get theirs, but it's not going to be one of those, like, I don't see a high scoring game here. Especially with the weather. Knox is a big target, caught a touchdown in the game against the Colts. But listen, I mean, if it's a snow game, again, Lamar's never done that. Defensively, the Bills are not the Bills of old. I mean, they've really taken a hit defensively from last year compared to now. So they better outscore teams. I think Josh Allen's had such a great progression this year. I'm going to go with them. I mean, again, I wasn't overly impressed with the Bills last weekend, but maybe that's one of those things where, okay, we got by with our B game. Let's learn from this. McDermott's a good coach, so I think Buffalo finds a way to win just because I think they're a better team. After that, I don't really know, but. Give me Buffalo to win. The line, though, I think is begging for Buffalo action, so that scares the hell out of me. So if they do win it, I don't know if they cover.
Game is so similar on both sides, strength-wise and weakness-wise. The only difference I see here is that Buffalo's running game is really sketchy. Zach Moss is out for the rest of the postseason. He's gone. Singletary has been so inconsistent this year, guys. They don't even trust him in the goal line red zone area to hand him the ball. Fumble issues after confidence issues are low. I'm honestly looking at this as not a Dawson Knox game, Brian. I'm looking at this more as a Cole Beasley type of game. They need him desperately. Most targets in the last 10 weeks has been Cole Beasley at the slot. They line him up at the slot. Marcus Peters is going to be on his side. Probably going to put Stephon over there just to have him over there to deal with Marcus Peters. I think this is going to be Cole Beasley's game to shine and for him to rise. And I think Josh Allen will be, for the second consecutive week, be the leading rusher for this team. A lot of run playing designs for him, just like Lamar does. But I trust Josh more than Lamar when it comes to passing. And I'm rolling with Allen, man. I got to roll with him. I'm rolling with the Bills. I'm with you, Alex, as being a nail biter. I think this might go down to the rookie kicker for Buffalo, fixing the demons that they have in the 90s. And I think he's going to get that field goal to help Buffalo get to the championship game against, we'll talk about the team later. Brant.
I like Buffalo in this one, and I got sort of like a 1A, 1B. I like Gabriel Davis on the outside, rookie out of UCF. Okay. I really like him. I like him so much, I picked him up in my Dynasty League because I see that guy he's for some reason.
Help you?
You had one good game against me. Calm
Still
down.
didn't help you.
Whatever. But either way, like he has Josh Allen's trust in the red zone. But I think 1B is Singletary. That running game, like you said, is sketchy. I am not a Zach Moss fan. I don't think he is going to be. I think he's going to be, let's see, like a super Frank Gore light, but Frank Gore now, not Frank Gore when he was actually good. He's just very, very plotty. He's not fast. There's nothing about his game that excites me. I think Singletary working by himself will actually yield a little bit better results than if he's sharing with Moss. But I think Gabriel Davis is my X factor for this game, and I like Buffalo to win.
They signed Devontae Freeman, by the way.
They did.
Right.
To talk about a plotty,
It's kind of cliche with Baltimore to say they're going to have trouble if they're behind in a game, but I think they're going to have trouble if they're behind in this game. And I think if the Bills can go out to a lead, it changes everything that Baltimore likes to do, especially possibly in a bad weather game. Buffalo needs to, again, get on them and get on them early because they're not built to come back in games, especially with Lamar throwing the ball.
Let me ask you guys something real quick before we move on. Who has the better offense, Colts or the Bills?
Bills. Right now, I would say Bills.
The Colts
Brian?
or the Bills? Wait,
the Colts or the Bills?
Oh, the Bills do. Much more talent.
Okay. Who has the better defense, Colts or the Bills?
Colts.
Brian? Brant?
Are we talking about the Colts or the Ravens? I'm confused.
No. I'm bringing my point here.
The Colts had a better defense.
Okay. Do you guys think that the Ravens defense, the Buffalo's defense can do what Colts able to do against the Ravens in their season? Can they withstand the running game?
Listen, I'll tell you, since week 11, people have been going over. Buffalo's been a top 5 defense since week 11, and people seem to forget that. They think they're the first 11-week defense. They're not. They've been much improved. And the Colts are not slouches on offense, and they held them to 24 points. I know there were questionable calls in that game that they could have went for a field goal and all that stuff, but 24 points with that offense and the Colts, that's impressive to me. I don't think that's a bad – I mean, you're in playoff – everybody's there for a reason. These are all good teams. So I think they shut down the Ravens enough, and the snow has a definite factor in this game.
Okay. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's get it. Kansas City Chiefs against the Cleveland Browns. That's going to be the opening game for Sunday. Let's start with Brant. Brant, what you got? Do the Browns have a shot?
Yes. The Browns have a shot if they can do exactly what they did in this last game, and that is for somehow get 28 points in the first quarter. They did a good job of creating turnovers and creating those opportunities, right? Like if they can do that early and sort of put the pressure on Mahomes, I think you could get to him and do some good work. I don't like the running game right now for the Chiefs. So I think I would drop a lot of guys and I would make them try to run the ball on me. But I like the Chiefs in this game. I think it's at least Tyreek Hill. I just don't see any way that Cleveland's going to be able to stop that guy. Most teams can't figure out how to stop him when they know it's coming. And he's just such a talented player, like so much speed. And he's got really good hands, 50 yards down the field.
So check this out. Here's how I'm looking at this game. And I know Brian and I have talked about this for so many years. The best defense against Patrick Mahomes is keeping his ass on the sidelines and you controlling the clock. This is the best team besides the Bills or the Ravens that could do it. The Browns, I trust the Browns running game more than the Bills and the Ravens. I'm talking about a mobile quarterback with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. But running game, that's my X factor. I have the Browns upsetting the Chiefs. I got the Browns winning. I got I read his list. I got the Browns winning. Listen, I got the Browns winning 28-25. And here's the reason why. Okay, hold on. Here's the reason why. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, if they can do what they've been able to do all year and win at the trenches, because here's the thing. I don't trust the Chiefs' defensive line. I trust their linebackers and their secondary more than their defensive line. I know they have Chris Jones. Don't get it twisted. I know they got Frank Clark. Don't get it twisted. I understand this, but I see the Browns' offensive line being strong. When's the last time Baker's been sacked? When's the last time we seen Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb being tackled back for yards lost? I really, 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 really think Kevin Stefanski has something up his sleeve that is going to be able to work for their favor in Kansas City. They're hungry. They know what they want. And I may sound like an idiot right now, but I just feel that the running game is going to pay dividends for the Cleveland Browns and their game calling. Brian, am I crazy?
I mean, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So
fair.
I think a key to this game for the Browns is obviously make sure that on the first play of the game that the center overshoots the quarterback over the head and the ball is up at the end zone. You get 7 points and then you score again quickly thereafter. Get a 28-0 lead. Here's the thing. I agree with your premise in that it's true. The best way to defend against Patrick Mahomes is keep his ass on the bench. And Cleveland is built to do that because they can run the ball. However, what Kansas City can also do is score in about 27 seconds if they really need to. So the difference is the quick strike offense, they're never out of a game. They may kind of rope a dope a little bit defensively. I mean, if you remember the playoffs last year, there were a couple of games where they were down badly and they won anyway by a lot. So I don't know.
But we can't compare Bill O'Brien to Kevin Stefanski. I'm choosing Kevin Stefanski way more.
But we're comparing Deshaun Watson to Baker Mayfield now, right? So that's what we're doing.
True. That's a good point. That's a good point.
And here's I don't know if anybody's really thinking about this. And again, this is going to speak to Kevin Stefanski. The worst thing that can happen to the Browns is coming in and we're happy to be here because they did get that win last week. The first win for that franchise since 1994 in the playoffs, which is the last time that the Rangers won a Stanley Cup. So I know it well. And I was 10 years old. I am not 10 years old anymore. My son just turned 3. It's been a while for them to get that win. The biggest thing right now, is not being complacent. You didn't win anything important last week. It's just one playoff game. New England wins 3 of them every year. At least they used to. So that's the biggest thing. That's going to be a coaching problem for this team. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be. I'm just saying I could see some of that because, again, Alex, I agree with you. No one thought that was going to happen last week. Not with everything else that was going on in that game. So you can have some of that happy to be here mentality. I just think it'll be a bad idea for them. I'm not betting against the Chiefs. Chiefs win. Chiefs cover. They're going to win the whole damn thing again. So
double digits.
This is not even a shot against the Browns. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a wood chipper. It's not going to be fun.
Go ahead, Alex. Bring it home.
38-35. Browns win on a last-second field goal. Parkey parks his foot right in Patrick Mahomes' ass and puts him on the couch. Mark it down.
Who's your X factor?
I mean, Parkey's going to be my X factor because he kicks the game-winning field. No, listen, stop. Honestly, Kareem Hunt is my X factor because to me, he was more impressive than Nick Chubb was in the last win. Now, it's a double-sided coin there, right? I think they're equal. I think this is the best tandem of running backs ever to be on the same team, period, right? You can go back in history. I think this is up there. If it's not the best, it's top 3 for sure, right? I'm hoping that Kevin Stefanski gets COVID again, to be honest with you. Because, listen, this is the reason why. This is the reason why. You can't get it again. You can get it multiple times. But this is the reason why. We went back to the power run game, running over people, controlling the clock in the game. It just so happened that we had a couple turnovers in the first quarter that really helped us. But the offense looked more impressive when we're run first instead of Baker throwing for 35 to 50 times a game. I'm not a fan of that. He's not built for that. He's too small. He makes poor decisions. He threw in a double coverage a couple times in the Steelers game. We just got lucky it wasn't an interception, right? But I think we shock him. I think it's 38-35. I think we start running the ball in the first half, and we keep it going for the first half. But we eventually end up throwing the ball, which allows them to get back in it. And I think we ultimately win in the last-second field goal. I don't see a double-digit loss. Half the Browns are not hurt like the Ohio State team was to make it easy for Kansas
that game
City.
was
So,
trash.
well, I mean, 4 of our starting defensive linemen are gone. 2 of our offensive linemen get hurt in a game. The best running back in the last 3 games, who had over 600 yards in 2 games, got hurt the first play of the game. Now, is Alabama a better team? 100%, right? They're probably still going to win the game.
Are you really talking about college football right now?
But they're not. They're not.
Moving on. I don't care about college
better.
football.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. The Saints go against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is my second favorite game of the week. Let's start with Brian. Brian, this is the third time these teams are gonna meet up. Saints own it 2-0. Tom Brady, can he produce the magic this week? Can they get the win over the Saints? Because this is the game that really matters more than those 2 games of the regular season, like we talk about all the time. What you got? Who's your X factor? Who's your prediction?
I agree. And Brady's never lost 3 to the same team in 1 year. But again, that was in New England. Things are a little different now.
Yep.
I mean, Tampa owes them one. I mean, the last time these 2 teams played on national TV, I mean, New Orleans went in there and literally wiped the floor with the Buccaneers. The X factor to me here is the entire Tampa Bay defense, because you have to be able to keep the ball out of the end zone. The Bucs are going to score. Saints defense is excellent. I'm not taking anything away from them, but the Bucs are going to score in this game, and they'll run the ball. They'll throw the ball. You can't cover everyone. So they need a defensive effort. I don't know that they're going to get it. Having said that, it's not as if the Saints are necessarily a team that can win shootouts. I mean, they're not the same defense, the same offense that they used to be. Breeze can't throw the ball down the field. So it's going to be a Kamara game. You're going to see a lot of slants, obviously, from Michael Thomas. This to me is the absolute hardest game to cap, because I think it's the best game of the weekend. I think it's the best quarterback matchup of the weekend. The Saints have beat them twice. I've always say it's so hard to beat teams a third time, but actually statistically you usually win the third game, I think 2/3 of the time. Something tells me, and again, this could be the final game for Drew Brees if they lose. I think the Bucs find a way. I don't know why I think that. I think it might be just a Brady over Brees thing, but they can beat you so many different ways. But having said that, if the Bucs defense is what we saw last weekend, it's not going to be, and it will get into a high scoring game. And in a high scoring game, I think the Saints might be able to again. I think they have much more talent on the offensive side of the ball, running the ball, passes, whatever. Better defense. The Saints will have a much better defense, and the Bucs won this game. I'm going to go off my gut and say this is a game where Tom finds a way to win.
Yeah, for me, Brian, you hit all the right points. We could talk about matchups all day long against these teams. Lattimore is going to be on Evans. That's already guaranteed. We all agree that's going to be the matchup between him and Evans the whole entire game. Here's the difference I see, Brian, from the last 2 games they played to now. Antonio Brown is he's game ready. He's in this offense. He knows where to go. Rob Gronkowski is game ready. He's ready to ball out and play. The thing that scares me the most, Brian, is the running game. Is Leonard Fournette going to show up? Can they emphasize the play action, in which Tom Brady has thrown the most play action, believe it or not, this season? That's what Bruce Arians loves, is the run, play action, throw deep. Can this happen? Can the Buccaneers play an entire game, and can Brady bring that Brady magic against the Saints? I look at the Saints, they have a better running game. I do think that Drew Brees is getting back to his old familiar self. It has to be the Tampa Bay defense to be able to play against this offense and keep them from the end zone. Definitely, 1,000% I agree with you, Brian. With that being said, my gut and the pit of my stomach, I can't bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs. There's just no way I can. I can't do it. He has a chip on his shoulder, right, Alex? We talked about it all year. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to, even to make the Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, is already proving the doubters wrong about what he's able to do. Can he do it at 43 years old? He's got to win 2-3 more games to win the Super Bowl. Can he do it? Is he able to do it? He's got the weapons. The defense needs to step up. The offensive line is playing great. Can they keep him upright where he can move in the pocket? I think he can. I got the Buccaneers winning this game, guys. 31-28. Go ahead, Brant.
I like the Bucs in this game. Just going off, it's terrible. Like I even thought about changing this like right now as y'all are talking because I'm like, this is way too much hype for Tampa Bay right now. But the strength of the Tampa Bay defense is stopping the run. Stopping Alvin Kamara is everything in this game. If you're able to do it, you're going to win. If they can't stop Alvin Kamara, the Saints are going to win. I mean, that's the X factor. The X factor is Alvin Kamara versus that run defense. Michael Thomas is the primary threat on the offense. I mean, he's going to get his double-digit targets for sure. Emmanuel Sanders will get some mixed in. Jared Cook will get some. But the most important part of this game is going to be Kamara versus that defense. And I don't see Tom Brady with all his weapons losing this game.
Alex, finish it up for us, brother.
I hate all of you.
Thanks, bud.
This was going to be my hot take that the Buccaneers were going to win. You guys were all supposed to pick the Saints, and it was supposed to be nice and easy. So listen, there's no reason on paper to pick the Buccaneers because the New Orleans Saints have absolutely dominated this matchup all year long. But I just believe in Tom. I truly believe in Tampa Bay. I told you that Gronk was they only needed him for the playoffs. They didn't need him in the regular season when everybody's freaking out. He's a shell of himself, He's looked impressive. He's blocking. He's best blocker in football at the tight end position. Still holds that title, I believe. I truly believe that he's going to have a big game, 6 or 7 catches in this game. I think he is the X factor in this game, to be honest with you. I wanted to say the secondary of the Buccaneers, but I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. So I'm going to go with the old reliable Gronk, and he comes back and has the one Gronk performance of the playoffs that everybody remembers him for, and he has 5 or 6 catches for 88 to 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they win by 5 to 6 points, somewhere in that range. It's a close game. It's not going to be like the Saints blowing them out, right? It's either going to go one way. The Saints blow them out or the Buccaneers win by 5 or 6. It's going to be a close game if the Bucs win. They're not going to blow them out.
But like we said, remember, the Saints have this penchant for losing these playoff games in just gut-wrenching fashion, whether that's the pass interference call that wasn't against the Rams, whether it's the push-off by Kyle Rudolph that wasn't. Like, bad things happen to the New Orleans Saints at home in the playoffs in big spots. So I don't know if that's are we going to have a tuck rule inside in a dome? I don't know what's going to happen.
Hey, you forgot Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, that was the road game too. Yeah, just bad things happen to this team in the postseason. So it's like, can they get through it without having an issue? I don't know. And it's sad because, who doesn't love Drew Brees and everything he's done? And this is, could be the last game we see him after a storied career. But I mean, look, history has a tendency to repeat itself. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be like the cart's going to come out and like hit the I don't know, something ridiculous is going to happen where the Saints are going to lose.
Double doink, last second field goal miss or something like that.
They're going to field goal is going to get caught by the and they're going to run it back or something.
Something nuts.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I got a couple questions and we'll end the show, guys. Everybody all together, is this going to be Drew Brees' last game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex?
Yes.
Well, if you're picking Tampa to win, then yeah, right? That's your call.
It hurts my soul to say, but yes, it's his last game in a NFL uniform.
If Tampa Bay loses, is this going to be Tom Brady's last game?
No.
Okay, so we're all in agreement. I honestly think that Drew is. You could see in his face last week that I think he's getting himself prepared to know that this is going to be it. This is going to be his last run. And it's time to move on for him. I think the body can't hold up anymore, Alex. I know we talked about it a lot this year, saying that Drew Brees might come back. I don't think he wants Tom Brady to go away from the red because he's there in length with touchdown passes. He has 1,000 yards on him still on the passing record. But if he retires, Brady's going to take over both those records, obviously, next year. So,
yeah, I think the rib injury solidified this, right? I think because besides having the shoulder surgery and making that miracle, nobody thought he failed a physical in Miami. He's really hasn't been nicked up, but that was a significant injury, and it let him know, hey, you forgot Beatquake.
The Beastquake.
The Beastquake, yeah.
Marshawn Lynch.
This is the end of it's the end of the road for Breeze. I mean, this year is the end of the road, I think, regardless. I mean, you want to talk about salary cap situations, right? Their cap liability for next year is $276 million.
They're $100 million over.
They're the worst.
$100 million over the cap, and I don't know how you fix that.
You trade half your team away.
Breeze going away would be somewhat helpful, but
not $100 million helpful.
They may have to cut They may have to cut like Quan Alexander, Ryan Ramczyk, Marshawn Lattimore. These are guys that are pure cap savings if they go.
Oh my God!
What are you supposed to? And again, if I'm Sean Payton, I might want to walk off into the sunset myself. I mean, I've squeezed everything I can out of this cactus.
Go to Dallas.
Sure, I'll take.
No.
I guarantee you'll take Dallas. Of course.
Nope. Yeah, you get a McCarthy for a few more years. You enjoy that.
Look, if Sean Payton becomes available, that status quo changes as a variable.
You're damn right, guys. Appreciate you guys being on the show. Any last words, Brian?
No, listen, it was fun. Thank you for inviting me on. I always love joining the team of the Buzz. Sportsbox fans. Sportsbox team always is very supportive of you guys and love seeing you guys grow. So we're big fans. Keep it coming.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on, bro. It was like I was trying to get him on earlier, but I forgot to send him the link and talk to him. But I always can count on Brian to come on real quick. I love talking.
I just want to make sure that I see you getting more into hockey this year. Look, the Rangers start tomorrow night, so I'm going to be totally useless all day, just worrying about the game. I don't care if they win. Just worried about that.
Some people are hopeless, Brian. You can't bring them to good sports. They just
look. That's a nice color on you, Drew. Look, just put a little logo on it. It's a good start. You're all right.
It's ugly. It's all.
I mean, I'm not a Rangers fan, but I supporting hockey 100%.
Yes.
Listen.
Go Capitals.
One of us. One of us whose name rhymes with Brant Meeks, he is a fan of the oldest team in the league, which is like a 30-year-old average age. I'm a fan of the youngest team in the league at 25. Got a lot of kids. Got the first overall pick.
Oh my God, I don't care about hockey.
Hey, I got Zdeno Chara. That's an automatic trump card.
That's why you don't care about it.
Hey, get Brent on your show so you guys can talk about hockey. All right,
welcome whenever he wants to. He's got an open invite.
I love hockey. Hockey's
Brent, final words, Brent.
No, thanks for having me on. It's going to be an exciting weekend. And hockey's back, baby. Let's go, right? Like, come on. Let's go. It's the best sport. I love the NFL.
No,
the NFL is number 2. Hockey's number 1.
Okay. That's great. Go get out of fantasy land. Alex, final words, please.
Hey, here we go, Brownies. Here we go, man. I'm excited for this game. Whether we win or lose, I'm excited for us to be in the second round of the playoffs. Still licking my wounds from the national championship loss, but neither here nor there. I'm sure you are. I mean, you're a butt
Ohio
troll.
State showed up for that game?
Yeah, really? Okay. That's funny.
Hey, guys, thank you guys. You still got more to say? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. Everybody have a safe, week. Like I always say, thank you for interrupting me. Be safe. Wear your mask. Quarantine. All right.
Thank you for limiting your word right tonight. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to Alabama for coming out with a win Monday night. Really, really makes my year a lot better.
Sure.
I don't even care about college football. Hockey sucks, and we're gonna move on. And I'm sorry, Brian. And guys, be safe this weekend. And check out tomorrow. We have an interview with Ashley Mitchell, 2-time challenge champ. Tomorrow night. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And the buzz is going crazy, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And good luck this weekend to all the teams. And Brian, can I have you come back next week? We'll talk about the division round. All right,
I
cool.
should be around.
We'll get you back next week. So
ask me day off, and then I'll know where I am. But I should be around.
Hey, is Derrick Henry gonna run for 250 yards? No, he's not.
He didn't run for 250 feet. So,
with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We'll try to do better next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
Later.